Good evening to all the Praktani brothers from around the globe. It's a beautiful evening at Kolkata, and I believe you all are enjoying the day as well. So today we have our 37th Praktani Adda Session, and the Adda is special today because we have the co-founder and the CEO of Vani Coach with us today. And he is none other than our very own alumni, our own Ashish Dada from 1997 batch. So without any further ado, let me call on the stage our very own speaker, our very own Dada on the stage, our Ashish Dada. Dada, the stage is all yours.
Thank you so much, Vikas. And don't remember last when somebody called me with so much of affection and respect. So I'm definitely going to remember this. And I remember when Ritesh da asked me to think about what to talk about, I was initially at loss. Then I thought about why not share something from my personal journey, which might help a few people decide. Because when we were in school, and while we were still around a time when people could think about different options, but engineering, medical, these were some of the things. I don't recall a lot of conversations around someone wanting to be an entrepreneur. Whereas now we live in a very, very different world. There are some 86,000 or so registered startups in the country. There are 100 plus of these startups that have gained a unicorn status, which means that at least on paper, their valuation exceeds $1 billion. So the last decade has seen an emergence of many of these organizations. And an interesting thing is that many of these companies do not have people who come from family business background. These are people who
Exactly.
were technocrats or from different areas, and they were able to launch, run, and succeed. So my own journey in entrepreneurship started in the year 2006. I was about 25 years old at that point, and it
Okay.
was a risk to start over there. And I've been an entrepreneur since, with moderate degree of success. And this is my third iteration. So all I'm going to do today, as a sort of quick context, I'll walk you all through the three phases of my entrepreneurial journey and what were some of the mistakes that I made in the initial phases. And there'll possibly be newer mistakes that I would make in this one. And then talk about what has helped me and what I've seen other entrepreneurs talking about and learning from their experience. And so I'm going to share my a very brief slide here. One moment. So one of the things you do as an entrepreneur is to also educate people about your organization so that if there is any possibility whatsoever of someone wanting to invest or either as a customer or as an investor, we should never let go of that opportunity. So my venture's name, it's called Vani.coach. That's also our website. Vani is a communication fitness app. Now, communication fitness means, so we've equated it with sports. So like a sports person's performance is dependent upon their overall fitness as well. Similarly, a working professional's performance at work is intricately linked with their ability to communicate effectively. One moment. Yeah, sorry, my slides. This is a little bit about the company till date. So while this is a new startup, this is sort of, it has risen from the ashes of the last one. These are some of the clients we have acquired in the last 1.5 years. We launched Vani in August 2021 to the market. Before that, we had run it for 6 months as a pilot. And within 1.5 years, we have signed up with more than 54 enterprise customers. And all of these are large organizations with many people across different levels, right from frontline to mid-management to even senior leadership. So my first phase was in 2006. This ran for about 2 years. Now, this was a time when I was definitely passionate about an idea and there was an opportunity. This was in Pune. The idea that I was really passionate about was to help people communicate more effectively. Now, when I was in Vidyapeeth and even later on, communication was not a priority for me. I could do fairly okay in math, physics, chemistry. That is what I was studying in DPS. But around that time, I had this desire to become a news reporter. I don't know how that idea took shape and how I became obsessed with that idea, but that's something that I decided. My handicap was that I myself couldn't write very well. In fact, I couldn't put two sentences together in front of an audience, even if my life depended on that. So I had invested significant amount of time trying to improve my own communication, and then I ended up working initially with the Indian Express in Delhi, and then later with the Statesman in Kolkata. I was with the Statesman both as a reporter and as a sub-editor. So when I decided to do something which was more of my own, because I always had that desire, I asked myself, what can I do? And I found this opportunity. The opportunity was that in a city like Pune, there were many BPOs, call centers coming up, and there were many people from rural Maharashtra who were flocking to Pune in search for a better job. And that's where I saw that I could do something where at one end, I could help people improve their communication. I could help them go find better jobs. At the same time, I could supply good quality talent to the organizations. So that is how it was. So people I would coach, I would charge them barely 300, 400 rupees so that they value it. And for them, even that was a significant amount of money. Whereas to the organizations we were recruiting with, we would charge them a slightly higher amount to make sure that we are able to pay our bills. Now, around this time, I had very little understanding. It was more like just jumping first and trying to figure out how to swim afterwards. But it so happened that we were riding a wave. And because I was passionate about helping people, at least we were able to deliver the right kind of outcome. Companies like Wipro, EXL, Infosys, they ended up hiring people I was coaching. So till the opportunity lasted, it ran really well. Then early 2008, we realized that the jobs have dried up. Salman Rushdie once said that some of the events that really shape the course of your life take place way outside your life. For me, Lehman Brothers filing Chapter 11 was one of those. So all of a sudden, the jobs dried up, and naturally, the people were also not very keen on getting coached and learning to communicate effectively. And that's where I had to shut that model down and start figuring out the next one. So for the next one, started thinking about it a little, because in the first one, I had not factored for the change in external environment. And when I went back, reflected, I realized that there's a critical piece which was missing, and that is where there was an opportunity, but we were not truly creating value for a customer, at least not creating value in a way that it would last for very long. So I had to take a call that do I go back to the newspapers because all the savings were depleting very fast. Okay. Or do I continue to do this? But I realized that my passion to help people improve their communication still was valid. So I said that let's work on this. Sorry. So I said that how do we do this in a more sustainable manner? And that's where I started reading around. I started trying to speak to other entrepreneurs who were able to build more successful businesses. And someone said that you need to be able to create value. Now, when I initially heard it, it was all Greek. I couldn't understand what do you mean by creating value. I have a feeling that some of you may have also thought about it because we keep hearing this term over and over and over, but we're not always sure what exactly it means. I was lucky to come across this simple framework, which I wanted to share with all of you. So someone explained this to me. Actually, it was Christina Applegate's program, and I went there and then I was asking someone that how do you actually create value? And this was a framework that helped. So number one, it said that if you are alleviating a pressing pain point for someone, that's value. And value is always measured in willingness to pay. So if someone is not willing to pay, they may appreciate it a lot, they may love it, they may give you great feedback, but till the time they're not willing to pay, you're not creating a very valuable business. And in the recent past, we have been hearing a lot of news about all these layoffs and companies resorting to practices. Those are not the best. In fact, that's where we see that this rush to acquire customers and then trying to figure out how to monetize starts backfiring. So here, one of the things I learned was that if you're solving a pain point for someone and they're willing to pay for that, that's value. Then the second thing is that if you are enabling a compelling opportunity for someone, they may not be suffering from a pain point, but you can open up. The reason all of us moved to a smartphone, it's not that before that our life was very difficult. It's not that if we couldn't send an email after reaching the office, we would have lost on great opportunities. But smartphones started enabling opportunities. It started creating more ideas around us, and that's how it became such a rage. So there are many, many such examples where enabling an opportunity is another way of offering value. And the third is delight. Nobody buys, a 1 lakh rupee phone because it's enabling an opportunity or solving a pain point. It's pure delight. Delight could be perceived in many ways. It could be delight of status. It could be delight of being a device, no fan. It could be anything. So that's where started thinking that, okay, how do I create value? But this was the time when there weren't a lot of opportunities. I remember I actually went door to door in Pune. There are these, if you're familiar with Pune, there are companies, factories, one after the other at Alpha Laval, Atlas Copco, one after the other, many companies. And I started knocking one door after another, trying to offer something which was valuable to them. But this was recession and people were not very willing to pay. So the opportunity wasn't there. I said that we need to keep sharpening our value proposition so that we can create that opportunity. So for me, this phase of 2008 till 2020 was one of those. The opportunity didn't exist as much as we would want it. But by offering greater value to the customers, we were able to slowly build opportunity. I was in a way a little lucky that my first client was Larsen and Toubro, and they saw value and they practically adopted me. And that's how we were able to go to other organizations. And in fact, it took me almost 12 years to win almost 35 enterprise customers as people who would back us. But because they saw value, they persisted. So we're still working with L&T, we're still working with Deloitte, we're still working with Asian Paints even after 10 years, because they continue to see that value being delivered. Now, I'm going to pause my PPT here and play a brief clip as to what value they really see. Again, one moment, where did it go? Oh, I need to. So this is an example of what our customers find as value.
Success in measuring on habits and effort. Whether if we will do that efforts more, can we success on that basis? No, only habit is not, only effort is not sufficient for a successful.
Now, Ravi works with a large construction company at mid-level position, and because he couldn't communicate well, he was not able to grow beyond a point, and that was a loss to business. That was a loss to Ravi as well. And after working with us,
When I look back today, I see myself as a charged person. This has really helped me to work on my attitude, skills, and behavioral aspects. The whole journey of this leadership program was well organized in 4 forums. Forum 1 was Lead Self. Here I learned how we can.
so I'll pause it here. I hope you were able to witness the transformation that we try to bring in people. And this is value to business because all these people who are not able to communicate effectively, they are unable to deliver certain aspects of their job role. And we gradually, one organization after another, we were able to build this in the previous format. But because this opportunity didn't exist inherently, it didn't go beyond a particular scale. And when pandemic hit, it disrupted that particular model. So what hurt us was that the last model was completely disrupted and our revenue source dried, and we had to go back to the drawing board to think about how do we do things differently. But what it also did for us was that after that period in 2020 and early 2021, when we were not able to come up with an option quickly, we were compelled to think about what's the new opportunity. And the new opportunity was that at a slightly lower willingness to pay, but the number of people who needed something that grew quite a bit. And that's why for Vani, we were able to find all the three things together. So here, our passion to help people remained. It still remains. On our YouTube channel, you'll see literally hundreds of videos of people talking about how they are able to do things now that they were not able to, how the managers are able to delegate actions that they were not comfortable about doing earlier. So now we have all three. We are able to offer value to business, and that's why the opportunity has also exploded. So when we launched Vani in August 21, we had 3 enterprise customers. And what took me 12 years to get 35 customers, today we stand at 54 with a pipeline, and we have a target to get to 300 in the next 1 year. So to be an entrepreneur, it's very, very important that we are able to see all three. Sometimes we may see an opportunity, but if we lack the passion, then we end up giving up very easily. There were many days when I was like, I don't think we are going to last anymore. And then we would just get back at it and try to build again and again and again. It's very easy to give in to that temptation that ab nahi hoga and go ahead. So if you're passionate about something, that's absolutely critical. Similarly, unless we are creating that value, there is no clear willingness to pay, which means that a viable business is not born. And that's where till the time you're riding an opportunity, it's great. Otherwise, you collapse very, very soon. The third thing is, if there is no opportunity, it becomes a really time-taking process. It's not that the lack of opportunity deterred us from building something, but it took a lot of time, and it was again something which was vulnerable to the external environment. But in the last 18 months, we've been able to grow rapidly because this time we were able to capture all the three things together. So if one wants to be an entrepreneur, I think it's very important to evaluate all three. Am I passionate about the idea? Am I able to generate value for which there is willingness to pay? And is the opportunity large enough? So that's the basic principle here. There are 5 things that I've found to be critical in being able to run a business. Number 1 is to have your own purpose. Like Daniel Kahneman says, that we are all effort minimizing beings unless there is a purpose. We all hate it when we have to drive through those potholes and to drive through bad roads. But we take time off, we pay money and go off-roading. At least I do. So if there is a purpose, if we know why we are doing it, that brings energy. So clarity of that purpose is because without that, we are not energetic enough to try. We are not driven enough to try. We are not obsessed enough to try. So having a clear purpose is very important. Second thing is to have an in-depth problem, understanding of the problem. When I started going to the customers, I would see that the solutions they were using, these were academic products. When we were, so when L&T signed up with us and when they scaled up, they ended up replacing Narsi Munji. They had somebody, they had a tie-up with Narsi Munji to do the same thing that we ended up taking over. And this classic David and Goliath story. We were just 2 people and this was an entire institution. But we understood their problem much better because we realized that people don't want to just learn theory. They want something which lowers their cognitive load, but brings about that transformation, brings about that change. So a deep understanding of problem is critical, again, when you are building something. The third thing is, what is your product? So understanding your product is critical, but I'm not going to elaborate on that. The fourth, what I call as plan. I was just trying to play with the 5 Ps here. So plan is the business plan, which means what is the business model, who's going to pay, how much are they going to pay, how often are they going to pay, at what scale are they going to pay. So having that clarity around monetization is absolutely important. And the most important thing I would say would be the team, the people that you're working with. Um, Again, another thing, another mistake I made when I was in my previous version, we ended up hiring people, but I never was able to trust my team enough to take up critical roles. So I ended up keeping a lot of control with myself. So it used to be me and then others just following what I do. Uh, 2020 gave me that chance to reflect upon that. And now we have a strong team. In fact, on 2nd of January, when I logged in for our team meeting, I saw there were 32 people logged in. A year before that, there were just 6 of us. So different leaders had taken charge within the given budget. They had found solutions because these were the people who were really working on building the organization for me. So I'm going to pause over here now. That's pretty much all the gyan that I had to share. So to summarize, if you want to be an entrepreneur, there is no right time. Right now is the right time if you have a clear answer for these 3 things. If you are sure that you are passionate about the idea, if you're sure that you will be able to offer value, and if you're sure that there is a large enough opportunity to go after, then that's the best time to go become an entrepreneur. So I'm going to stop over here. Happy to answer any questions, whether about Vani or my journey, or any of the thoughts that have come to your mind. I'm mindful that I see people like Prashant and Subrat here, so there's a little bit of pressure because we have the stalwarts here. Um, but yeah, so open to any questions from anyone.
Ashish,
Yes,
I am Manish from 86 batch.
hi Manish sir.
I just wanted to know, I mean, since we all from the same background, so
Mhm.
how is Vidyapit background handicap, if I may say so, in becoming, choosing this line of enterprise, being an
Right.
entrepreneur?
I think that it's both. There are certain things that I learned in Vidyapit which allowed me to try it. So had I not been there, I wouldn't have had the wherewithal to try. At the same time, there are certain things that uh, come in the way. At least from my experience, I don't have a lot of awareness of what's happening right now. I hope things are different. What Vidyapit gave us was resilience, right? It was always something where um, to we always strive to do better, right? We always try to do things that most other people don't think of at that particular age. So I must say that that resilience, that whole idea of not depending on somebody, right? That was there. But in terms of career opportunities, I feel that around our time, all the messages were around playing it safe, right? Score well, get into a good +2 school, get into a good +2 school so that you can get into an IIT or an IIM or AIMS or something similar. But it also narrowed down our ability to take risks. So while the resilience I picked up from there came in very, very handy, my natural propensity to take high risk helped me avoid that part of the training, which made us play very safe. I hope that helps, Manishta.
Okay, okay, thanks, Ashish. Thanks.
Hi, Ashish. Very nice talk. Very inspiring. My name is Joyjit. I'm from 90 batch. And I have a question which I want to ask is that
Mhm.
oftentimes luck is really an important factor and it's often underrated. So,
Mhm.
what do you think? Luck had any role to play, or it was pure passion and purpose and everything, all the P's that you just recounted in your talk? Thanks.
So if you are in the game for long enough, you will have both good luck and bad luck. For me, L&T was good luck as my first customer, but L&T was also the 351st door that I knocked. 350 people turned me away, and I would say that was my good luck, right? So my bad luck was that I went out there at a time when everybody had cut down on their training budgets. But my good luck was that out of all those organizations I went to, I had a customer who was impervious to the recession and external environment and was committed to investing in that. Similarly, in fact, just before COVID hit, we had just started expanding globally. I had signed up a 3.5 CR deal, and we were super excited that now we are going to go global. And then COVID happened. So that was bad luck because our business model collapsed. At the same time, it also compelled us to think of something which is much more robust, which can have a much bigger reach and will be able to uh, we'll be able to build it to a much bigger scale. So, Joyda, I think good and bad luck are definitely going to go through. If you're passionate about it, if you have a clear purpose, I think it gives you the energy to tide over that bad luck. Having said that, for some people, it could be really bad. For me, bad luck was also not so bad that it threw me off gear. So I think bad luck also has degrees. So I guess it was a 3 out of 5 kind of a bad luck and not a 5 out of 5 bad luck. Hope that helps, Jayada.
Thank you. Good answer.
Right. Okay.
Bhaiya, this is Vikas from
Yes,
2011
Vikas.
batch.
Hi.
Bhaiya, you just said that you went to 350 companies like before getting the LNP. So,
Right.
so what was that motivation inside of you which kept you going for 350? Because we generally stop doing something when we have the first or the second hurdle.
Hmm.
But
Because
you
I
went
think,
on.
yeah, please.
Yeah, Bhaiya, go ahead.
Right. So, because I think a bit of it was because of the training I received when I was at Indian Express. This was a newspaper, especially my boss there, Diptosh Majumdar. He was somebody who said that, no, if you accept that it's not going to happen, then there is no way it's going to happen. And that's why he kept pushing us to go and find, no, if even if 20 ways fail, you find the 21st or the 22nd or the 23rd way of doing it. So, if there is one thing that I can say is a strength for me is persistence, right? So, no, I was pretty clear that something or the other will work out. The idea was just to keep going and finding the right organization. It took me almost 6 months. Having said that, I did give myself a deadline. I said that if this doesn't happen by the end of the year, then you have to pack your bags and go back to the newspapers and look for a job there. So yeah, as in sometimes we need to persist. At the same time, an important idea to set a sort of a mental deadline saying that, okay, I won't go beyond that. Uh, I hope that helps, Vikash.
Yeah, Bhaiya.
Yeah. Yes, Ritejda.
Hi, Ashish. Two things.
Yes.
One is a suggestion and another is a question.
Mm-hmm.
Question is, why don't you approach Vidyapit for a pro bono kind of communication workshop
Mm-hmm.
for the present students?
Mm-hmm.
Particularly, maybe you know your market well. So one way it helps both ways,
Mm-hmm.
because Vidyapit students, they learn a new skill, which is very
Mhm.
practical and very much needed.
Mm-hmm.
Helps you also to learn, and it also gives you a new market because
Mm-hmm.
schools, colleges, you know, uh, these students are the future leaders or future
Mhm.
decision makers. So
Right.
someone joins L&T
Mhm.
or Ritesh
Mhm.
Corporation tomorrow, they know there is someone called Ashish who can,
Mhm.
offer this kind of service. So that's a
Absolutely.
suggestion. If you can prepare kind of, a uh, pitch tailored for students of Vidyapit, we can,
Mhm.
approach and
Mhm.
Maharaj and say,
Mhm.
don't we do a free workshop? It can be online or it can be in person,
Mhm.
whatever works.
Mhm.
So the second thing is a question. Maybe you have already done it. Apart from corporates, are legislators or public orators your market? Are you approaching them, or have you approached them? Like, election time, you see lots of people, canvassing, etc., and they have a cell, a background which train them and give them how to speak, what to speak. So, have you approached any of them?
We have not, but I hear what you're saying. In fact, during US elections, many of the communication coaches have lucrative jobs. There's a company called Quantified Communication in the US, and the founder was, again, somebody who played a similar role for Obama's election campaign. And that company is also fairly successful. So Ritesh, one of the things I learned as a part of my own startup journey was that sometimes it's not a question of whether, it's a question of when. We learned that so a communication learning market itself, we have sized it, and that's around a $26 billion market. There's a company in China called Liu Lishuo. They have 100 million users on their platform. In the last financial year, their revenue was $137 million, and they do everything. So we also realized that there is definitely a very large market and various segments that we can go after. And we started breaking it into different categories. So for us, the category where the value, the willingness to pay is the highest, where it is an absolute painkiller, is business organization. Say today, Cipla goes on a public platform and says that my medical reps now spend 18% more time with the doctors after going through a journey like this. Now their willingness to pay goes up, and then the next 20 pharma companies, I don't have to go and prove why it is value, and they start signing up. So we also so we gamified it. We said that just like in games, you have different levels, you solve one, you unlock the next, and you keep going. So we built this category, but this is definitely an interesting idea. And I'll pass it on to my sales team to see if we can run a small experiment and understand what is the willingness to pay, what would it take, how will the product change. So definitely would like to try that out.
Thanks, Ashish.
Right.
Ashish, good evening. This is Nitin from the 2001 batch.
Hi, Nitin.
So I don't have any question for you. On a lighter note, I think in 2019, your company secured some $2.5 million as funding in Series A, or some funding happened on a company, right?
If you are referring to the Hindu article, it's actually an article we sent out to say that we are raising that.
You were raising or something.
Yeah.
So at that, please carry on.
So we've raised close to $1 million so far, not 2.5. So that's the amount of funding we have raised. And later this year, we're again going out in the market to raise about $5 million. So that's the plan.
Oh, so I was freelancing with the Free Press Journal at that time.
Okay.
So they wanted me to interview you, and then I started looking at your background, and I saw Ramakrishna Mission, and I confused between, because there is another Ashish Jhada who used to do goalkeeping from your batch.
I think he would be 1 year junior.
Yeah, you're 1 year senior or junior something.
That's right. Yes.
And I was like, ye banda to goalkeeper nahi ho sakta.
That's true.
But anyways, so maybe I'll get back to you on that interview for some other publication, because I do a lot of freelancing, and I've shared the same background like you. I am a journalist till now. I've not left, but not with the mainstream media.
Right. Yeah, sure. Happy to do that. We can use all the press that we can get. Prashant is the key manager.
Thank you. Thank you.
Right.
Ashish, if I may ask a question, this is Gautam from the 69 batch.
Hello.
First of all, Congratulations. I mean, it's a lovely talk, very clearly articulated. I mean, no wonder you're doing so well in the communication section. Your own communication skills are exemplary. I left Vidyapeeth long ago, so I don't know how the system has changed there now. I'm keen to understand what was done during your time, for instance, which helped hone your own communication skills, or which sort of led you to the idea of investing in this area. And currently, what is going on? How did Vidyapeeth really communicate, or does it do anything at all to improve its students' communication skills? Because that's crucial. It doesn't matter how good you are technically, unless you are able to communicate your ideas with clarity, precisely, and effectively, it doesn't really matter. Finally, is there anything that we could jointly do to bring about changes in the Vidyapeeth curriculum, administration, or whatever, to improve these aspects?
So I'll first answer what is it that I could gain during my time at Vidyapeeth and what I missed a lot over there. I wish it was there. To be honest, I do not have a lot of clarity on what happens now. Possibly Subrat would be a better person to answer. He's more connected. I find it difficult to multitask, unlike my friend. So I've been obsessed with Vani, and that's pretty much all that occupies my headspace. So around our time, I must be very, very thankful to Kanakda. He was a teacher in Vidyapeeth at that point. I was very scared that I would possibly not do very well in the English subject, and I needed the marks to be able to find a seat in a good school afterwards. So he personally helped me understand, and that at least helped. So Vidyapeeth's culture of teachers taking that personal onus of helping you, guiding you, especially if you reach out to them, I think that's missing in a lot of places. So in that sense, Vidyapeeth is quite unique. I would imagine it's the same even now. So that was what helped. But there was no institutionalized way of helping you improve. It was not something that was allocated a lot of weightage, at least as far as memory serves me. Or even if there was, I didn't make use of it effectively. So it could be my lacuna too. Now, today, I feel that this is critical. You're absolutely right. In fact, we had done a study recently, both with the Economic Times and with another HR magazine called People Matters. We estimate the cost of poor communication to Indian businesses to the tune of $300 billion. So companies lose almost 2.5 lakh rupees per employee due to poor communication. It could be many, many different factors. So if it is addressed early on, if it is addressed during the school journey, then it'll definitely have a lot of impact for people afterwards. One major gap I feel is that schools are too focused on helping people score marks. And I'm not saying it's not important. Winning good marks in your exams sets the way for the next part of your journey. At the same time, something like communication cannot be learned like a subject. It needs to be learned like sports. It needs to be practiced. It needs to be, you need to keep making the mistakes, learn from your mistakes, apply again and again and again. So our app does not teach people how to communicate. It doesn't tell you that these are the 5 modules, this is the subject, this is the fundamental. In fact, what it does is it makes you record. It says that, okay, you are a warehouse supervisor. There was a temperature fluctuation. Convince a QA that this won't affect the quality of the batch. Now the person goes and records, and then a coach guides them that what they could have done better. So just like you would learn any sports, you are sent in the field and you try to play your shots, and then you keep learning as you go. So that is how this needs to be learned. I'm not sure if there's an infrastructure in place right now to do it. I hope I have answered your questions, Gautam.
Yeah, but just a brief follow-up. Yeah, neither am I. I mean, none of us, apart from the current students, would know if there is something in place. But it's not enough to hone your language skills, right? The help you got was most welcome, but that wasn't it actually. That's not what you needed probably. So what could be done? What could possibly done within the curricular framework to give this kind of facility, ability to inculcate these qualities in students? And from what grade? And I mean, one could think about it, but roughly, do you think there must be a curricular framework within which this could be done?
Right. So first of all, I won't claim to be an expert on how students learn. My entire focus has been on adult learning. But there are three things that I can absolutely think are the lower hanging fruits and would help the students. Number one is to start making students present from very early on. Whatever you are learning, whatever quality it is, the very fact that you are standing in front of an audience and you have to express yourself, that experience alone will help people improve quite a bit. So that's one thing that I strongly believe. The second thing is to expose them to some kind of a benchmark, right? There are now free TED videos and so many other things out there. And the cognitive ability is never a challenge for students in Vidyapeeth. They're, as it is, cherry-picked. So even if we challenge them a little, but the whole education experience exposure, these are the three things that help you develop. So that exposure, I feel, would go a long way. Now, when we were there, one advice that used to float around was read Statesman, it'll improve your English, but it stopped at that. And it was not something. So the effort to jump through that hesitation and it was too much. In fact, for me, it used to feel like catch-22. I felt that my English is poor, so I'm not able to make sense of it. But if I have to make sense of it, then I have to read it. And that's why I never tried it when I was at Vidyapeeth. So I feel exposure would be very, very helpful. And third thing would be to encourage them. See, Vidyapeeth has a fairly robust extracurricular framework as well. It's not just academics, it's not just classroom and exams. In fact, we have so many things that we do. So just like we used to have platoon or we used to have exhibitions. So if there is a way for them to do something, like why not organize their own TED Talk or a version of that, right? So something which offers them an opportunity to be recognized, which offers them an opportunity to go and do it with a little more seriousness than just a classroom presentation, because communication learning is more about doing. And then someone like I'm absolutely aligned to what Ritesh said. I'm more than happy to organize for something like that pro bono. But there are so many other people who can do it. I'm sure within our alumni network, there are many eminent people who would be willing to share their input. So absolutely, Gautam, these are the three things that I can think of, which can help the students quite a bit.
Thank you. Great.
So I am Rajkumar Nandi from 1987 batch. So I just the same thing. Just I would like to just add something like location, then speech, then debate. These all things are there in Vidyapeeth that we have come through, and most of us have learned. Like music also is there. This is also a way of playing the instruments. Those are also a part of the communication.
Correct.
It can be improved if it is practiced at the class level also. That everyone should be given an opportunity to do it at class, then at a school level. So this can be one way where we can improve this thing.
Absolutely. I distinctly remember that whenever there was a debate competition or an extempore or elocution, it's not that we didn't have that. but it used to be limited to a few people who are already good at it. But the rest of us who are not good at it, we didn't even try. And I think that needs to change. So somewhere, if more people are encouraged, I remember my one attempt, I had taken part in the extemporary competition, and I went on stage in that auditorium over there, and my subject was personal diary. And I had actually thought and I had ideas that I wanted to share. I went out there, I said one line, and then I was quite literally tongue-tied. I couldn't even utter a word. And I just walked off that stage, and then I never had the courage to go back. So if someone at that point encouraged me and told me, so what, go again and again and again, then possibly third, fourth, fifth, 50th attempt, 351st attempt, I would have cracked. You're absolutely right, Nandita. It is something which needs to be more mass rather than just a few people.
And on a very lighter note, Nandita, I think nobody is mentioning the exemplary communication and especially English skills parted by Monoranjan. I will cherish it to my grave. I mean, how can we not recall that?
Right. Absolutely. I think we did have good teachers. If we start implementing more of that, I think that can come in. I do have a question here from Desen, and I feel, Desen, I hope it's okay if we pick it up.
Sure.
Yeah.
Well,
So he mentions a very, very important point, and I feel, is it okay if I copy this comment and share it with everyone? I think it came just to me.
absolutely no. It's posted in the group also.
Okay, I'll just post it again. So Decent says that to shed some light on two important things. Number one, family support, and I think that's very important. And number two, there are people who are in jobs and unsatisfied and always think of venturing out. How one should weigh their options before taking the jump. So Decent, the first one I think is important. It is important that your family at least understands what you are doing, if not support outrightly. Some people are fortunate that their family backs them, some people not so much. I think in that period when I was building the second iteration of my venture, we used to call it Vyakta, apne vichar vyakt karte hain. So there was almost a year and a half kind of a period where we were not making any money whatsoever, in the sense that whatever we are earning in revenue, we would end up paying it back. And it was my wife who would put food on the table. And had that not happened, again, it would have been extremely difficult to go and try out things, because I realized that you first need to at times hire people, and we didn't have that sort of capital to invest. So family support is definitely important. In fact, when I started in 2006, I jumped in March 2006, and I lost my father in May 2006. And around that time, it raised a serious question mark on whether I'll be able to do it. And despite all the grief, and despite the fact that my brother and my sister were both in college at that point, so there were all of a sudden financial responsibilities that I was not prepared for. Everyone was like, if you really want to do it, you should do it, right? Nobody said that, no, now that you have more responsibilities, you should go ahead and look for a job. So family support is important, Lisa, and I completely agree. On the second part, when you say that people are in jobs, dissatisfied, thinking of venturing on your own, I think dissatisfaction from your job should not be the reason to go looking for something of your own. I feel that that could be a trigger. It could be a trigger for you to consider it. But that should not be the reason to do it, because unless you know the source of that dissatisfaction, and unless the source of that dissatisfaction does not translate into that no कीड़ा नहीं आता ना करने का, तब तक entrepreneurship नहीं करना चाहिए. Then you are taking too much risk. So it's very important to go back and examine and ask, वो कीड़ा होना चाहिए, बहुत जरूरी है. If you don't have that passion, if you are not bit by that bug, then it's better to live that dissatisfied life or find another job. So that's another option for people. If you are a techie and you're looking for another job, please reach out to me. We are hiring a lot of people there.
Thanks, Ashish.
Yes, Ritesh, I think we are almost out of time.
Uh, Ashish, I'm
Yes.
very opportunistic when it comes to Vidyapita. Last line, you are hiring people.
Right.
Please share the job description and the kind with us,
Absolutely.
and we will put in our Vidyapit forum.
Absolutely.
Of course, if it's not that we have put in there, you have to select someone. So,
Right. No, absolutely. Happy to do that. As in we are growing fairly rapidly, and we need good people, and more than happy to hire someone from Vidyapit.
And also, Ashish, not only for hiring, if you look for interns, etc., please reach out to us through Praktani committee, and we would like to. There are in our active network, there are around 2,000 alumni. And if someone is looking for internship, why not do an internship in IT, tech unique startup like yours, then go to Hindustan Lever or whatever it is. So, and this is a message for other audience who are here. Just to digress, if you are hiring, you want interns, please get in touch with Praktani committee. That is one of the ideas of the Adda, to knowledge sharing and give opportunities to our Praktani brothers.
Right.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ritesh. At the same time, if someone wants to invest, they're also welcome.
Yeah, it goes both sides. If someone is in, so they will get in touch with you.
Yeah. In fact, some of my sorry. I think Babluda wanted to say something.
Yes, Ashish. Actually, very quickly, I was not fully, I didn't attend fully, but what I could understood that you are doing some startup type coaching. Actually, I am a scientist working in Agriculture Research Institute, but I have been entrusted upon the responsibility to train and mentor the startups.
Okay.
So at our institute, I am heading that cell, and we are into approximately 35 startups are working under me. We are just trying to give them all kind of mentorship, but basically we are scientists. We have our limitations, so we need the coaches like you who can interact, who can support in this program. And basically we are in agri-tech sector, so startups in the agri-tech has a huge potential, because the funding, they have not reached their potential. Fundings are now being increased. Now they are getting more funds nowadays.
Right.
So there are huge opportunity in this sector. So I am blessed that I am organized with this also, apart from my normal research work. So if you can help me in some way, I'll be very thankful to you.
Definitely, Babluda. Very happy to do that. I'll post my email address here. It's very easy to remember. It's ashish@nani.coach. So happy to connect and do whatever I can, Babluda.
Thank you. Actually, I also extend my thanks to Subrat, is helping me in a huge way.
Right.
He's also making me the connects from different person from the
Subrat
network.
Subrat is a rock star. He helps everybody, including me.
So I'll talk to you personally, na?
Sure. Yeah.
Thank you. Rajarshi, please, I will take your mail. Thank you. I will be needing a patent lawyer also. IPR person is a very key. Because as I understand in the startup journey, the proprietary technology, that is the most important part, which is required to sustain for the longer period of time.
Right.
If it is not the defensible technology, it will be hard to sustain for a longer period.
Right.
So, thank you, Rajarshi.
Should we wrap up or should we wait?
I think I'm done. I'm happy to wait if anybody wants to chat more. Otherwise, we're almost out of time.
Okay, so then let's wrap this session up. So thank you, Ashish Da, for conducting this beautiful session, and especially taking all the questions and answering them so beautifully. I'm like in awe the way you answer every question and the story telling capability of yours, and especially the why and the you were like answering all the questions so humbly I just felt the Vidyapit connect instantly. So thank you for that. I, on behalf of the Vidyapit Praktani, like to thank you for your time and effort. So thank you, Dada, again.
Thank
And
you, Vikas. You're very kind.
thank you, Dada.
Right.
And moving further, I would like to inform everyone that the next Adda is on 11th Feb 2023, and it is by the same like the batchmate of Ashish Da, and the speaker is Ranjan Daipan Sen Dada, and he will be like talking on agri-business ventures and modern technology intervention. So I request each one of you to kindly do attend the session and learn from our so eminent speakers and make your life better. So with that, I would like to end this session officially, and everyone can chit chat.
Thank you.